The morning the queen arrived, the sky above Meridian Colony was polished steel, beneath the pale rings of a gas giant. Daniel Vale was halfway inside a broken irrigation core when every alarm began screaming. "Either we're under attack," he muttered, pulling out a burnt relay, "or the coffee machine has declared independence." His daughter, Lily, sat nearby, feeding crumbs to a mouthless maintenance drone named Biscuit. A black vessel descended beyond the wheat domes, making the tools tremble. Its hull shimmered like liquid glass. Soldiers in silver armor rushed from it, followed by a tall woman whose face seemed human, except for the graceful long ears rising through her dark hair and the faint blue light moving beneath her skin. Daniel recognized Queen Seralith from broadcasts. She ruled 7 systems and, according to rumor, had once ended a rebellion by staring at its leaders until they apologized. Today, however, she was bleeding. A pulse of green energy struck beside her. Daniel did not stop to think. Thinking, in his experience, was what people did before making a slower mistake. He pushed Lily behind the irrigation shield and ran toward the queen. An assassin drone hovered above the field, its weapon charging. Daniel hurled the relay at it. It bounced harmlessly away. "That worked better in my head," he admitted. He activated the emergency magnetic crane. The crane swung sideways and tore the drone from the air, smashing it into a grain silo. The silo began announcing a corn contamination warning. Silence followed. Queen Seralith stared at Daniel, one hand pressed to the wound beneath her ribs. Her silver eyes were sharp, suspicious, and tired. "You attacked a royal assassin with farm equipment," she said. "I prefer improvised planetary defense." Lily peeked from behind the shield, her gaze fixed on the queen's ears. "Do they help you hear secrets?" Every soldier froze. The queen blinked. Then the corner of her mouth moved. Only poorly whispered ones. Lily nodded. "Dad whispers badly." "I am standing right here," Daniel said. The queen's wound suddenly flared blue. Ancient symbols rippled across her skin, mirrored a heartbeat later by golden lines beneath the soil. Deep under Meridian Colony, something old awakened and sent a pulse through the planet. The soil answered in a low hum. No one noticed except Lily. She looked down at the glowing earth, then up at the lonely queen, as if she had heard a voice meant only for her. 3 days after the attack, Daniel and Lily entered the palace of Asterin beneath artificial constellations. The stars shifted whenever someone lied, which made Daniel aware that he had told customs his luggage contained only essential tools. Behind him, a suitcase full of illegal colony coffee began vibrating. Seralith walked ahead in a robe threaded with living circuitry. Her long ears rose through her dark hair, and the blue light beneath her skin had faded since Meridian. Lily followed beside her, trying to step only on the glowing floor tiles. "Those are security sensors," Daniel warned. "They like me," Lily said. A tile chimed under her shoe. Daniel sighed. "Of course they do." The palace was a thinking organism. Walls rearranged themselves according to rank, doors whispered names before opening, and floating drones polished the air itself. Lily named 3 of them Puff, Spoon, and Admiral Beep. Admiral Beep saluted and followed her everywhere, alarming an actual admiral. Seralith had invited them to stay until the assassin's origin was discovered. Daniel was officially a witness, though Seralith had asked that Lily remain nearby. At dinner, 12 ministers watched the human child as if she were an unexploded star mine. Lily studied the queen instead. "Your Majesty," she asked, "do your ears get cold?" A minister inhaled soup. Seralith set down her crystal cup. "Sometimes. I can knit you covers." Daniel covered his face. "We have been here 6 hours." Seralith laughed. It was quiet, uncertain, as though the sound had not been used in years. The ministers stared. Lily smiled proudly, believing she had solved a diplomatic problem. Later, Seralith led them through a gallery where holograms preserved the royal bloodline. Generations of rulers floated above black stone, crowned by symbols of duty. There were no family portraits, no toys, no careless moments. "Were you lonely here?" Lily asked. The queen's expression tightened. "A ruler is never alone." "That isn't what I asked." Daniel expected offense. Instead, Sarilith looked toward the stars beyond the glass. "Yes," she said at last. Then the floor trembled. Kilometers below the palace, an ancient chamber opened after 4,000 years. A dormant machine shaped like a silver tree unfolded its branches and sent 2 pulses of light through the foundation. The palace went still, as if listening. One turned blue around Sarilith. The other, impossibly, glowed gold around Lily. By sunrise, half the capital had heard that the royal vault had chosen a human child. By breakfast, the other half had improved the rumor. Lily was apparently an ancient prophet, a disguised weapon, or, according to one news feed, a very small tax inspector. Daniel read the headlines over coffee in the palace observatory. I knew the knitting offer would cause trouble. Across the room, Lily was teaching Admiral Beep to spin in circles. The drone obeyed until it struck a marble column and announced, "Strategic victory." Queen Sarilith stood beneath the curved window. She looked human except for her long ears and silver eyes. Yet the blue lines beneath her skin had brightened since the machine awakened. "The council is demanding an explanation," she said. "Do we have one?" "No. Excellent governments love those." She glanced at him, fighting a smile. She had become strangely easy to amuse. Daniel suspected nobody in the palace had dared joke near her in 20 years. The council chamber hung above the city on a transparent floor. Lily stared down once, stepped back, and whispered, "That floor is showing off." The eldest minister, Valer, raised a trembling hand. "The royal bond recognizes blood. It cannot recognize an outsider." A hologram of the silver tree appeared between them. Its branches unfolded, displaying 2 intertwined lights, blue and gold. "The device disagrees," Daniel said. "The device is ancient. So are you, but everyone still lets you vote." A cough moved around the chamber. Sarilith turned away, though Daniel saw her shoulders shake. Valer's face darkened. "The child must be removed from the palace." Lily's fingers tightened around Sarilith's sleeve. The queen looked down at the small hand, and something in her expression softened before hardening into command. "She remains under my protection." The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted about succession, tradition, and contamination of the royal line. Above them, security lights shifted from white to red. Then every screen went black. A message appeared in an extinct language translated by the palace mind. "Blood creates HEIRS. Love creates kings." Silence fell. Lily looked up at Sarilith. "Does that mean I get a crown?" Daniel sighed. "Please don't encourage the machine." No one laughed now. Even Admiral Beep lowered himself in silence. Far below, the silver tree opened one more branch, and somewhere beyond the system, an enemy fleet changed course toward Asterin. The festival of eternal stars began beneath a sky manufactured for beauty. Silver lanterns drifted above Asterin, each holding a miniature fusion sun, while music crossed the air in blue and violet ribbons. Lily tried to catch one. "It is sound," Sarilith told her. "It is shiny sound." "That is not a scientific category." "It should be." Daniel walked beside them in formal black armor borrowed from the royal guard. It pinched beneath his arms and hummed whenever he slouched. "The suit keeps correcting my posture," he muttered. Sarilith's long ears tilted with amusement. At last, a technology worthy of the throne. The terraces filled with ambassadors, soldiers, and creatures existing partly in other dimensions. Some bowed to Sarilith. Others watched Lily with hostility. At the terrace center stood the ancient dais. Only members of the royal family were permitted upon it when the twin moons aligned. Yet when Lily approached, the black crystal steps lit gold beneath her feet. Silence fell. High Priest Orin nearly dropped his staff. "That is impossible." Daniel glanced at the glowing stare. "It has been a busy week for impossible." The silver tree beneath the palace sent a pulse through the foundations. Holographic roots spread across the terrace. weaving around Serelith and Lily before rising into a crown of light above them. Then the palace intelligence spoke in every language at once. Emotional lineage detected. Royal bond incomplete. Ministers began arguing immediately. Scientists shouted over priests. One ambassador fainted, recovered, and fainted again after checking the translation. Lily leaned toward Serelith. "Are grown-ups always this noisy?" "Only when frightened. Dad gets quiet when frightened." Daniel looked offended. "I become strategically silent." A sharp crack split the air. One lantern collapsed into a black mechanical insect. Then another changed and another. Hidden weapons unfolded as panic swept the terrace. "Saboteurs!" A guard shouted. The drones fired. Serelith moved first, throwing herself before Lily as a shield of blue energy burst from her skin. Daniel dragged them behind the dais while royal soldiers returned fire. Above, the artificial stars flickered and died. In the darkness, Lily clutched Serelith's hand. The queen looked at the small fingers wrapped around hers, and fear replaced command in her silver eyes. Far below, the ancient tree awakened completely. Its roots began to move. War arrived. The terrace dissolved into confusion as the disguised drones burst apart, revealing sleek combat machines with wings of black plasma. Their crimson sensors swept across the crowd, identifying every source of royal energy. "Of all the parties to crash," Daniel muttered while pulling Lily behind a shattered pillar, "they chose the expensive one." One drone immediately rotated toward his voice. "I should really learn when to stop talking." Its cannon charged. Before it could fire, Serelith lifted one hand. Blue light raced beneath her skin, flowed through her long ears like streams of liquid sapphire, and exploded into a circular shield. The blast struck the barrier and scattered into harmless sparks that drifted through the air like glowing snow. Royal guards engaged the attackers, but the enemy machines adapted frighteningly fast. Every tactic the soldiers used was analyzed within seconds. "They're learning," one commander shouted. "They're cheating," Daniel answered. He spotted a maintenance console half buried beneath decorative crystal. It controlled the festival's gravity projectors. "That'll do." "You have a plan?" Serelith asked. "I have optimism and questionable engineering." "That is not reassuring." "It rarely is." Daniel slammed both hands onto the console. Ancient alien symbols flooded the screen. "Please have a universal language." The display changed. "Welcome, certified maintenance technician." "Well," he grinned, "I suddenly feel appreciated." He reversed the gravity field. Half the attacking drones shot upward instead of forward, smashing into floating lanterns before tumbling helplessly through the air. Even several royal guards floated after them. One soldier drifted past Daniel. "I meant the enemy." Daniel called, "You should have been more specific." The guard shouted while spinning upside down. Despite the danger, Lily giggled. The laughter lasted only seconds. A low vibration rolled beneath everyone's feet. The palace itself was moving. Far below, the silver tree spread roots of living metal through the foundations. Every corridor, elevator, and energy conduit shifted into new positions, as if the entire palace had awakened from a long sleep. The palace intelligence spoke calmly. "Ancient sanctuary unlocked. Primary air evaluation beginning." Every screen changed to a single golden symbol. The enemy drones immediately abandoned the battle. "They're retreating," a general said. Serelith slowly shook her head. "No." She watched every machine race toward the palace depths. "They're going to the sanctuary." Lily looked toward the great doors leading underground. For a heartbeat, she heard the same gentle whisper that had spoken to her on Meridian. It wasn't calling for a queen. It was calling for a daughter. Before anyone could stop her, the massive doors slid open by themselves, bathing the hall in warm, golden light. Lily stepped through the golden doorway before Daniel could reach her. The corridor beyond folded through itself, revealing silver roots suspended among stars. Serelith followed without hesitation, her long ears angled toward the ancient song vibrating through the walls. Please tell me this is part of the tour, Daniel said, hurrying after them. No, Sarilith replied. Good. I was worried the palace had terrible customer service. Behind them the doors sealed. Ahead the sanctuary expanded around the silver tree. Its branches were streams of frozen light, each holding memories of rulers from ages before humanity. Lily stood beneath it, small and silent. A voice filled the chamber. Heir of choice detected. Sarilith moved closer. She is not an heir. The tree brightened. Bloodline irrelevant, Daniel sighed. The council will love that. Images unfolded in the air. Ancient queens carried children of different species through wars and dying worlds. Some shared their blood. Many did not. Yet every child bore the same luminous mark above the heart. The voice continued. The first crown was not inherited. It was given to the one who chose to protect. Sarilith stared at the visions as if something inside her had broken. The archives teach that the bond belongs only to royal blood. Archives can be edited, Daniel said softly. Love is harder to falsify. Tearing metal screamed behind them. The enemy drones had found them. Black plasma poured through the wall. Lily flinched. Sarilith reached her first. The queen dropped to her knees and pulled the girl against her chest. No ceremony, no hesitation. Blue light surged beneath Sarilith's skin and gold answered beneath Lily's clothes. I have you, Sarilith whispered. Nothing will take you from me. The drones fired. The silver tree bent its branches around them, forming a living shield. Daniel threw himself beside them and armed his last magnetic charge. It may explode, he warned. Sarilith looked at him sharply. It may also not explode. I'm trying optimism again. He triggered it, the pulse struck. Every drone froze, reversed, and crashed into the wall amid sparks. Nobody moved. Then Lily, still held tightly in Sarilith's arms, whispered, Your ears are glowing. Sarilith laughed through sudden tears. The tree opened its highest branch. Royal bond accepted. Across the planet, every palace light turned gold. The ancient chamber answered with a deeper hum. The celebration resumed 3 nights later beneath a repaired sky. The artificial constellations shone brighter than before, and the floating fusion lanterns had been carefully inspected for weapons, explosives, and, at Daniel's insistence, unexpected opinions. The saboteurs had been traced to Lord Vaylor and several delegates who feared the ancient bond would destroy their control over succession. Their encrypted orders, recovered from the disabled drones, left little room for denial. Vaylor was taken away beneath the stern gaze of Admiral Beep, who announced strategic victory at entirely inappropriate intervals. The council gathered around the ancient dais, quieter now. Scientists had confirmed what the silver tree had revealed. The royal archives had been altered centuries earlier. The first rulers had never defined family by species or blood. The bond recognized devotion, sacrifice, and the willingness to protect another life without reward. Sarilith stood before the empire in robes of deep blue light. Her long ears rose proudly through her dark hair, no longer hidden beneath ceremonial veils. Lily waited beside Daniel, holding a small gift behind her back. The queen addressed the watching worlds. I was taught that a crown required distance. I believed loneliness was strength. Her silver eyes moved toward Lily. I was wrong. A ruler who cannot love has nothing worth protecting. The silver tree projected its branches across the sky, linking cities, colonies, and ships in golden light. Lily climbed the dais. Sarilith knelt so they were eye to eye. I made these, Lily said, revealing 2 knitted covers shaped for the queen's ears. One was longer than the other. Daniel cleared his throat. They are asymmetrical by design. They are crooked, Lily corrected. Sarilith accepted them as though they were priceless relics. Her hands trembled. For a moment, Lily said nothing. The entire palace seemed to hold its breath. Even the stars above paused in their slow rotation. Then Lily leaned forward and whispered, Mom. Sarilith's face changed completely. The queen who had faced wars without fear closed her eyes, and tears slipped freely down her cheeks. She pulled Lily into her arms as the ancient bond erupted in gold and blue, racing across the dais and into the heavens. Daniel looked away, blinking hard. "Dust," he explained to a nearby general. "We are indoors," the general said. "Royal dust." Laughter spread gently through the crowd. The silver tree spoke one final time. Family recognized. Weeks later, Daniel became chief engineer of the royal fleet, though Sarilith claimed she hired him only because he was uniquely qualified to insult ancient machinery. Lily received no crown yet, but she gained access to the palace school, the sanctuary, and unlimited authority over Admiral Beep. At sunset, the three of them stood together on the highest balcony. Below, humans and aliens celebrated beneath the same stars. Sarilith took Daniel's hand while Lily leaned against her side. For the first time, the queen did not look lonely. And for the first time, the palace felt like a home.